Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today here with a project that's been in the making for almost a year now. It is my little Ficus root over rock project. So there's a little rock in here that I'm trying to get this Ficus to adhere to. And for the last, I would say, almost 10 months, it has been in this pot here. It has been tied to this rock. The roots, when I potted it up in here, were simply too fine still to really be above soil level. But today I want to check on this root, see how we can continue with this project. Are the roots already developed enough to put all the stone above the soil level? Can we move it a little bit up, or do we have to keep it the way it is right now? So that's the plan for today. We will slowly start to lift this out of the pot. I think it has developed quite a lot of roots, at least according to the growth that has been happening on this tree. I have pruned it back already. Here you can see I took out a main trunk to simply also improve the taper over time. It has enormous growth, this tree in itself, so I think even if we move this to a smaller pot, it will still grow a lot. So in general, a perfect tree actually for this project, because a lot of growth also means a lot of root development normally, and that is what we're going to check on now. So let me simply loosen the soil a little bit. It is fully inorganic soil, so at least this shouldn't be too much a mess of removing this tree. And I'm now really lifting it from both the tree and the stone, because of course we want to keep this together. I see some thicker roots definitely here on the side. Then of course the main root down here that we probably have to tie a little bit still. Yeah, I see some thicker roots down here. I'm not sure the tree would already adhere to the stone, to be honest, by itself. But look at those roots that have developed since then. Perfect. That is one of the reasons I love this inorganic soil, because it gives us such great roots. And it gives us also, of course, the possibility to look at these roots quite easily. But look at those roots, have developed perfectly. I think we can actually pot this into its first smaller training bonsai pot. So what I'm going to do right now is wrap this in paper towels, in wet paper towels, so of course these roots don't dry out while we work on it, and we prepare the rest of the pot. So as I said, tied up here, So as I said, here you can see a little wet paper towel over the main roots, simply to keep them dry. We also tuck in this little root still here, and we prepare the pot. So what I already did is put in some wiring in this plastic training pot. We're gonna reuse most of the soil in here because it is the mixture I use anyway, and it has been doing quite well in here. So what we will start with is a little ground layer of soil. Not too much. Just to cover the pot or the floor of the pot like this. And then we have to adjust our tree, of course, in here. So we take it out of the paper towel again. It does not yet adhere fully to the stone. That is something, unfortunately, that has not worked. I was hoping for it to adhere, but nevertheless, I think we can tie it a little bit to it still. But of course, the main purpose has been fulfilled, and that was developing roots that are thick enough to survive when we have the stone actually a little bit out here. And let's make sure all the roots that we want to keep on this tree are actually covered and inside the pot. Also making sure you don't go in circles here already, so we really make sure you have enough space in here. Then we take our soil again and we start to fill it in here. Once again, happy this is inorganic soil, makes way less of a mess. We also have some wire in here that I put in here to adhere to the stone mainly. So let me see how I can actually tie this in the best way. Remove some of the soil again out of the way, because this stone is quite porous, so we should be able to simply the wire snatch on here a little bit maybe. We just tie it in with a little bit of a U form here maybe. I think here we have a little part of the stone we can use somewhat as a hook. and tie it in like this. Not the most stable, but it should hold, and we're gonna still apply some wire then. We just have to make sure also, of course, the tree is adhering to the stone in the way that we intend to. Because here this is probably, I'm not sure yet what the back is, because this of course also looks cool with the tree coming here a little bit from the back and then making its way over here. So let me also of course adjust the roots in a way that we want them. So we probably have one of these roots will survive. This one here is a little bit thicker. So we take it over here. Some of those finer roots on top, they probably won't reach the soil, but that's not a problem as well. We will have to sacrifice some of the roots for the main ones still to be able to take care of the health of this tree in the long term. So starting to fill up, which is good. Some of the stones are spilled here, we can stuff it in here. I think we need a handful more here. And we take another look at it. It's definitely starting to fill up. How do we look on this side? Also quite full. And now we have to do some of the detail work that is still definitely needed for this tree. So the problem is we have some roots here that will not reach the soil. And they are also coming from parts where we don't really need them. So for example, this one here we can take off. With finer roots, this one here has dried out already, so we can also take that off. And here, these ones, I think this one is actually barely reaching the soil here, so this could be something we keep on. We just need to make sure it is a bit covered in soil here. These ones here, yeah, also are somewhat covered. But these might be roots that we will lose along the way, but we have the main ones, of course, adhering here on this side. Now if we look at the other side, that becomes even a bit more interesting. We have this one here that is covered in soil. I just want to move it a little bit still in this direction. And then cover it again and make sure it is covered in soil here. But we have some smaller ones up here, especially those thinner roots down at this part that I'm not sure we will keep on. I don't really like this part here, so I'm taking out this part, I think. Freeing up the tree a little bit here, because it was really a root's nest in here. Of course, before this was covered in soil, really in the organic soil the tree came in. So there was a lot of roots coming from this part, but I wasn't really happy with the way they looked. So we can take that out. And leave this one root covering the thing here. I like this little cave we have here. We might use this in the future as well for maybe putting a little figure or something in there. Could look cool. With the roots that are otherwise still on this tree, here we have a little aerial root or potential future aerial root that we just also cover in soil at the moment. And here we have a lot of roots definitely covering the tree. I think I'm quite happy with the way it looks at the moment. It also is adhering to the rock. It is right in the formation where I intended it to be, which is very, very nice. I think now we just let this settle in. I think the soil is quite compact. I might work through it a little bit again with the chopsticks just to make sure that there is no air bubbles in here, especially underneath the stone. But for now, I think we will let this rest and let this tree get healthy again, continue growing, and of course getting thicker and really enveloping itself around this rock. And we continue to work on the little fine root structures here over the next couple of months and years, and I think then this could look really, really nice in the future. But yeah, first little root over rock project. I'm not quite sure yet which side I like most. Probably even this one, because it makes it a little bit more interesting with the tree just peeking out here in the front, especially when it gets a bit thicker in the future still and it really starts to also show up here a little bit more. That will look quite nice. But if you have any ideas on this tree, of course, feel free to leave them in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a like, and if you enjoy my channel, feel free to subscribe to it. Hopefully I will see you in the next video. Until then, take care.